Emma's hands trembled as she clutched the pregnancy test, those two pink lines changing everything. She never expected to be standing in Marcus's doorway like this, especially not after their one night together 3 months ago. The look on his face, confusion, disbelief, then something else entirely, would stay with her forever. "You're pregnant, it's mine?" Marcus asked, his voice barely above a whisper, one hand still on the door while the other instinctively reached toward his sleeping 5-year-old daughter visible on the couch behind him. Emma looked straight into his eyes and said firmly, "Close the door." But she didn't mean for him to shut her out. She meant she was staying. Hey everyone. If you're already hooked by this unexpected situation between Emma and Marcus, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to see more emotional stories that explore the complicated reality of relationships, parenthood, and second chances. Now, let's dive deeper into how these two people found themselves at this life-changing crossroads. 3 months earlier, Emma Sullivan had been perfectly content with her life. At 32, she had finally established herself as a respected pediatric nurse at Memorial Hospital, had her own apartment in a decent part of town, and enough savings to occasionally indulge in weekend trips to the coast. Romance wasn't a priority, not after her engagement had imploded 2 years ago when her fiancé decided he wasn't ready for forever. That particular Friday had been especially grueling. 3 of her young patients had taken turns for the worse, and the short-staffed ward had left her running between rooms for 12 straight hours. By the time she clocked out, all she wanted was to collapse into bed and sleep for days. Instead, her best friend Layla had practically dragged her to a small gathering at her cousin's house. "You need to remember there's life outside those hospital walls," Layla insisted. "Just 2 hours. That's all I'm asking." Emma relented, though she made no promises about being good company. The gathering was small, maybe 15 people scattered throughout the modest home. She nursed a single glass of wine, making minimal conversation, counting the minutes until she could politely leave. That's when she first noticed him, a tall man with kind eyes standing somewhat apart from the others, checking his phone every few minutes with a worried expression. Something about his isolation mirrored her own, and she found herself drifting toward him. "You look about as thrilled to be here as I am," she said, offering a small smile. He looked up, surprised, then chuckled. "That obvious, huh?" Only to a fellow social obligation sufferer. His name was Marcus Chen, she learned. A landscape architect who owned his own small business. He was only there because his sister had insisted he rejoin the land of the living for one evening while she watched his daughter. "Lily's 5, he explained, showing Emma a photo of a beaming little girl with her father's eyes and dimples. "It's just been the 2 of us since my wife died 3 years ago." The raw honesty in his voice touched something in Emma. Before long, they'd found a quiet corner, talking about everything and nothing. His daughter's kindergarten adventures, Emma's most memorable patients, books they'd both read, places they hoped to visit someday. "I should check on Lily," he said eventually, glancing at his watch. "My sister's great with her, but Lily sometimes has nightmares if I'm not there when she wakes up." "Of course," Emma said, surprised by her disappointment. He hesitated. Would you like to come with me? Just for coffee or something?" "I know it sounds crazy, but I haven't talked to anyone like this in, well, a long time." She should have said no. She was exhausted. They were practically strangers. But something about Marcus made her feel safe, understood. "I'd like that." His home was modest but warm, children's drawings proudly displayed on the refrigerator, well-worn furniture arranged for comfort rather than style. His sister Jane gave Emma a curious look before leaving, but said nothing beyond a quick, "Nice to meet you." They checked on Lily, sleeping peacefully in her princess-themed bedroom, before Marcus made them coffee. 1 cup turned into 2, conversation flowed into the early morning hours, and somewhere between sharing stories of their childhoods and dreams for the future, something shifted. The kiss happened naturally, tentatively at first, then with a hunger that surprised them both. Neither had planned for the night to end this way, but in that moment, the connection between them felt undeniable. Morning brought reality crashing back. Emma woke disoriented in an unfamiliar bed, the events of the night before rushing back with startling clarity. Marcus was already up, she could hear him in another room, his voice soft as he spoke to his daughter. Shame and confusion washed over her. This wasn't who she was, she didn't have one-night stands, especially not with single fathers she barely knew. She dressed quickly, slipping out of the bedroom to find Marcus making pancakes while Lily colored at the kitchen table. Emma. Lily looked up with innocent curiosity. Daddy said you're his friend. Do you want to color with me? Marcus turned, spatula in hand, his expression a complicated mix of warmth and uncertainty. Good morning. I was hoping you'd stay for breakfast. The domesticity of the scene terrified her. I can't. I'm sorry. I have a shift. The lie came easily. I should go. Disappointment flickered across his face, but he nodded. Let me at least get your number. I'll call you, she said, another lie. She practically fled, ignoring the hurt in his eyes. For weeks afterward, Emma threw herself into work, trying to forget that night. She ignored Layla's questions about that cute guy from the party and declined invitations to social gatherings. She told herself it was better this way, Marcus deserved someone who could embrace his life, his daughter, not someone who panicked at the first sign of intimacy. Then came the fatigue. The nausea. The missed period. The pregnancy test that changed everything. Emma sat on her bathroom floor for hours after seeing those 2 pink lines, cycling through disbelief, panic, and finally, a strange calm. At 32, she'd always assumed children would be part of her future, just not like this. Not alone. Not with a virtual stranger. She considered her options carefully. She could handle this alone, she had a stable job, savings, supportive friends. She could move forward without involving Marcus at all. But every time she thought of keeping this from him, she remembered the gentle way he'd checked on his sleeping daughter, the love in his voice when he spoke about her. Whatever else Marcus was, he was a devoted father. He deserved to know. Finding him wasn't difficult. His landscaping business had a website with contact information. She drove to his office on a Tuesday afternoon, rehearsing what she would say, only to lose her nerve at the last minute and drive away. The next day, she returned, determined. His receptionist smiled warmly. Mr. Chen is with a client, but he should be finished soon. Would you like to wait? Emma nodded, taking a seat in the small waiting area, flipping through landscaping magazines without seeing the pages. When the office door opened and Marcus emerged with an older couple, his professional smile froze when he spotted her. Emma? His voice held a mixture of surprise and wariness. I need to talk to you, she said quietly. Privately. He nodded, escorting his clients out before leading her into his office. The space reflected him, organized but creative, blueprints and plant samples arranged alongside photos of Lily. I didn't expect to see you again, he said, leaning against his desk rather than sitting behind it. Not after you disappeared. I know. I'm sorry about that. Emma took a deep breath. There's no easy way to say this, so I'm just going to say it. I'm pregnant. And it's yours. The color drained from his face. For a long moment, he said nothing, and Emma braced herself for denial, anger, accusations. Instead, he asked softly, Are you sure? She nodded. About 12 weeks. There hasn't been anyone else. Marcus ran a hand through his hair, his expression unreadable. What are you planning to do? I'm keeping it, she said firmly. I wanted you to know, but I don't expect anything from you. You already have Lily to think about. Something shifted in his expression then, a flash of something that looked almost like hope before he carefully masked it. Can we talk about this properly? Not here. Maybe tonight? I can ask my sister to watch Lily." That evening, they met at a quiet cafe. Marcus arrived first, already nursing a cup of coffee, looking up anxiously when she entered. The conversation was awkward at first, both of them dancing around the enormity of their situation. "I never meant to disappear like that," Emma finally admitted. "I panicked. It had been so long since I felt that kind of connection with someone, and then there was Lily, and your whole life that I wasn't sure I was ready to step into." Marcus nodded slowly. "I understand. It was a lot, all at once." He hesitated. "But I've thought about you, Emma. More than I probably should have." "I've thought about you too," she confessed. "When you told me about the baby today, do you know what my first thought was?" He looked directly into her eyes. It wasn't panic or worry. It was that maybe this was a second chance. For both of us. Emma stared at him, stunned. "Marcus, we barely know each other." "I know. And I'm not suggesting we jump into anything. But I lost Lily's mother suddenly, with no warning. It taught me that sometimes life gives you unexpected turns, and you have to decide whether to run from them or face them head-on." He reached across the table, not quite touching her hand. "I'd like us to try, Emma. Not just for the baby's sake, but for ours too. There was something real between us that night, wasn't there?" The sincerity in his voice broke through her defenses. "Yes," she whispered. "There was." They agreed to take things slowly, weekly dinners, getting to know each other properly, preparing for the baby together while building whatever this relationship between them might become. Marcus was patient, never pushing for more than Emma was ready to give. Gradually, Emma found herself looking forward to their time together. She came to know Lily, whose initial curiosity about Daddy's friend with the baby in her tummy blossomed into genuine affection. She discovered Marcus's quiet strength, his dedication to his work, the way he could make her laugh even on her worst days. But fear still lingered. One evening, after dinner at his house, when Lily had gone to bed, Emma voiced the worry that had been haunting her. "What if I'm not cut out for this? Being a mother, being part of your family? What if I panic and run again?" Marcus considered her question seriously. "I can't promise this will be easy. Parenting never is. But I've seen you with Lily, with your patience. You have so much love to give, Emma. And as for running..." He smiled gently. "I think we've both been running from something for a long time. Maybe it's time we stopped." As her pregnancy progressed, Emma found herself spending more time at Marcus's home than her own apartment. She helped Lily with homework, joined them for movie nights, even started adding her own touches to their space, books on the shelves, a throw blanket she'd had for years draped over the couch. The first time she felt the baby kick, Marcus was there, his hand warm against her growing belly, his eyes filled with wonder. "Hello in there," he whispered. "We can't wait to meet you." It wasn't all smooth sailing. They had arguments, about parenting styles, about space, about the pace of their relationship. Emma still sometimes felt overwhelmed by how quickly her life had changed. Marcus still carried grief for his late wife that occasionally surfaced in unexpected moments. But they talked through each challenge, learning to communicate, to compromise, to trust each other more deeply with each passing week. At 7 months pregnant, Emma finally gave up the pretense of maintaining her separate apartment. Moving in officially with Marcus and Lily felt both terrifying and right. The night before the move, she stood in her half-packed apartment, surrounded by boxes, suddenly overcome with doubt. She called Layla in tears. "Am I making a mistake? Everything's happening so fast." "Honey," Layla said gently, "sometimes the timeline doesn't matter. What matters is how you feel when you're with them. Does it feel like home?" Emma thought about Marcus's steady presence, Lily's infectious laughter, the way they'd created space for her in their lives. "Yes," she admitted. "It does. The day she moved in, Lily presented her with a hand-drawn sign for the front door: Emma, Daddy, Lily, and Baby live here. Marcus hung it proudly, his arm around Emma's shoulders. That night, after Lily was asleep, Marcus took Emma's hand. "I have something to ask you." Her heart raced. "Marcus." "Not that," he said with a smile. "Not yet, anyway. I wanted to ask if you'd consider letting me adopt the baby. Legally, I mean. I know I'm already the biological father, but I want there to be no question that this child is mine in every way that matters." Tears filled Emma's eyes. "Yes," she whispered. "Of course." 2 weeks before her due date, Emma woke in the middle of the night to sharp pain and wet sheets. "Marcus," she gasped, shaking him awake. "It's time." What followed was a blur of activity: calling his sister to come stay with Lily, the drive to the hospital, hours of labor that tested Emma's strength and resolve. Through it all, Marcus never left her side, his steady presence anchoring her through the pain. Their son was born as dawn broke, 7 pounds, 4 ounces of perfection, with a shock of dark hair and his father's dimples. As the nurse placed him in Emma's arms, she looked up at Marcus through tears of exhaustion and joy. "He's beautiful," Marcus whispered, gently touching their son's tiny hand. "Just like his mother." They named him Ethan, Strong One, a testament to the journey that had brought them together. Bringing Ethan home to meet his big sister was a moment Emma would never forget. Lily approached the baby with solemn curiosity, then broke into a wide smile. "He's so tiny. Can I hold him, please?" With careful supervision, Lily cradled her baby brother, looking up at Emma and Marcus with pride. "We're a real family now, aren't we?" The question hung in the air, innocent yet profound. Marcus met Emma's gaze over their children's heads, his eyes asking a silent question. That night, after both children were asleep, Marcus found Emma in the nursery, watching Ethan's peaceful slumber. He knelt beside her chair, taking her hand. "Lily asked me something after you went to put Ethan down," he said quietly. "She asked why you don't have the same last name as us." Emma's breath caught. "What did you tell her?" "I told her that sometimes families come together in different ways, at different times." He reached into his pocket, pulling out a small velvet box. "But I also told her that maybe, if you wanted to, that could change." He opened the box to reveal a simple, elegant ring. "I'm not asking because of the baby, or because of what anyone else thinks a family should look like. I'm asking because I love you, Emma. These past months have shown me that what we have is real and worth building a life around." Emma looked from the ring to Marcus's hopeful face, thinking of the strange, winding path that had led them here, from a chance meeting at a party she hadn't wanted to attend, to a pregnancy that had terrified her, to this moment of perfect clarity. "Yes," she said, her voice steady and sure. "Yes, I'll marry you." 6 months later, they stood together in the backyard. Marcus had transformed into a garden paradise, Lily as flower girl, baby Ethan in his grandmother's arms. Their vows were simple but profound, promises to face life's unexpected turns together, to build a family based on choice rather than circumstance, to love each other through whatever challenges lay ahead. As they celebrated with friends and family, Emma found a quiet moment with Layla. "Thank you," she said, hugging her friend tightly. "For what?" Layla asked. "For dragging me to that party. For not letting me hide away from life." Layla smiled. "I just opened the door. You were brave enough to walk through it." Later that night, after the guests had gone and the children were asleep, Emma and Marcus stood on their back porch, his arms wrapped around her as they gazed at the stars. "If someone had told me a year ago that this would be my life," Emma mused, "I never would have believed them." Marcus pressed a kiss to her temple. "Sometimes the best things in life are the ones we never saw coming." Emma turned in his arms, looking up at the man who had become her partner, her co-parent, her home. "That night I showed up at your door with the news about Ethan, I was so scared you'd shut me out." And instead, you told me to close the